Welcome to Laughter and Enlightenment with Sharon Gambrill, here at Radio Northern Beaches 88.7 or 90.3 FM, or you can tune in via the website rnb.org.au or through the app TuneIn Radio. Welcome to the show. This week it is very exciting. He is comedian, writer, comedy writer, and actor. You're an actor now, Sean.
Yes.
Sean Woodland.
Short-lived. Very short-lived. They axed the show. My television career is over.
Oh, no, it's only just beginning. I'm sure it's only just beginning.
I'm not very good at it anyway.
Oh,
they kept having me back, so...
I'm sure you're learning every time.
They needed someone who looked like Angry Anderson for certain roles, I think, so that's why they chose me.
Yeah, that's
Hello,
it.
Sharon. Thanks for having me.
Sean. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks
now,
for
Sean, you've been away recently, and I think all the listeners will find this very interesting. You've been to the Middle East.
I have.
As an entertainer.
Yes, I have. It came about, I was asked if I would like to perform for the troops, and I assumed that it would be in Puckapunyal or Townsville, and I said yes, and they then said you'd be going to Afghanistan, and I immediately got a little bit frightened and thought there is not one thing on this earth that could make me go to a war zone. And I thought, I'm going to tell my wife the decision I've made for our family. And I got home and I said, I've got something to tell you, Lou. And she said, I've got something to tell you as well. And I said, well, you go first. And she said, in September, for 3 weeks, my mum is coming to stay from England. And I was, and she said, what is it you wanted to tell me? I said, in September, I'm going to Afghanistan. So I thought it'd be safer there.
I think so. And how convenient she happened to come at the same time zone.
Perfect timing. We were meant to go to Iraq and they couldn't get us visas. Apparently the Iraqis are a bit slack with them. And so there was a contingency plan. The Middle East base is in the United Arab Emirates, the Australian main base. And we went there and they said, you're now going to Afghanistan, which was about 10 degrees cooler. So it worked out
that's good.
quite nicely. And I don't know, like, I've always read quite a lot when I was younger in particular, not strategy things, but about people and their experiences in war. But I wasn't, and I don't think a lot of Australians know that they're still in danger in Afghanistan. And so that was quite an eye-opener.
So the people that live in Afghanistan, or the actual
in
troops?
particular, but the troops as well,
Yeah, it's a hazardous situation.
Yeah, we went to one place outside of Kabul, which was our most fun one. It was done in like a big outdoor sort of hangar they had bushmasters along each side, like a football field side hangar, and then all the troops just in the dirt right in front of us. And that was amazing. But 2 days after we left, I think it was on 9/11, that was hit by 2 rockets and gunfire. No one was hurt. They're pretty well fortified and large, these camps. But yeah, there's still, and they're training the Afghani soldiers, so that's the biggest threat now. The colonel I was talking to said, like, he just has to have complete faith in his men that they're watching his back. Yeah, because you don't know. Yeah,
it's real stressful, and teamwork, and
they're extraordinary. Yeah,
they all function together as a whole, don't they?
You know, obviously being military, you've got briefs every second of every day, but they're really important. And we were lucky enough to travel overland between Kabul and this other place, and we travelled at night, and it was really busy, and did not see a single female. And then on the way back we travelled during the day, and that was the only time I saw women in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
So it's yeah, I don't know, like a lot of people think, we shouldn't be there or whatever, but if you just think of what it's doing for women, apparently in the 70s and 80s, it was a backpacking oasis. And
really?
Women were getting around dressed exactly like they were here, and then the Taliban took over and bang, they were
took
oppressed.
Them back thousands of years almost.
In no time.
Yeah.
So it's going to take a generation or so now to, you know, educate people like it always does. You start with the young people.
You have to, because people are hardwired sometimes.
Most malleable, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
People are when they're young. We are young. We're open-minded. We can learn things so easily.
Yeah. So but it was an amazing experience, and you know they were like, I don't think anyone's a fan of war, but I'm certainly always a fan of soldiers. Like at one stage, I just sort of went to bed one night and I thought, well, these people would take a bullet for me, whether that be over there or here, should the need ever arise. And that's a pretty special thing, really.
It's an extraordinary breed of human being, isn't it?
I'd take a bullet for.
Well, I don't think we would. I think we'd probably, maybe your children, in a pinch,
like
you
my
would.
mother-in-law's been here for an extra 2 weeks now, and I'd be more likely to shoot her than take a bullet for her, for example.
And I'm sure she won't be listening to this at all.
Oh,
we
never
won't
know.
tell her.
No, she'll have a laugh at
She
that.
just knows
She's
you're joking around.
She's lovely.
Yeah, she's lovely.
Yeah, she laughs. She likes mother-in-law jokes.
Yes,
thankfully.
that's right. I don't think anyone doesn't like mother-in-law jokes. Everyone can relate to that.
Good old John Farnham used to live off them. Yeah.
So, Sean, you got the call to go over. Were you with a few other comedians
Only
or
one.
singers?
One. I went with
Was it
Luke
a troupe
Heggie,
of...
who's,
Luke Heggie.
another Sydney comedian.
Yes.
He started when I did, doing comedy, and we're really good mates as well.
Well, that's good.
Yep. And a 4-piece band from Melbourne called Fear of Flying, who were great.
Yeah.
And then there was a singer-songwriter, Peter Evans Taylor, who had been on The Voice about 3 years ago.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay.
Yep.
So you had a troupe of entertainers.
Yep.
Did you all perform on the one show?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I emceed each
gala.
night because Luke Heggie emceeing would not go well at all. And he said, I'll MC if you want everyone to have the worst night of their lives. So I said, no, I won't.
It's good to be self-aware.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
True. So I emceed, and then we had Peter did her thing, and then then straight on to Luke, and then closed with the band.
And the good thing's no one can leave, can they, in these instances? They don't leave, do they?
Oh, they could.
They could leave?
Yeah, well, there's no alcohol either. So
No.
They're not the easiest gigs.
Yes.
But still, they're, so appreciative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do they have regular entertainment that go over,
No.
or periodically?
Periodic, but
couple
only
of months?
really every 6 months.
Oh, okay.
So, and they're there for usually about 6.5 months
Yeah.
at a time.
And they're
Yeah.
always on alert, always working, aren't they?
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yep.
In
yeah.
that situation,
So
you're not really...
well-drilled.
Yeah.
Yep.
Disciplined and
Yep.
hard-working and...
Got to be.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think quite heroic in a way
Oh, for sure.
to go and do
Yeah,
that.
like I said, I'm no fan of war at all.
No one is.
But these people...
In an ideal world, we wouldn't
Of
even
course.
need it, would we?
And there's just... In Afghanistan, they sort of talked me through it because I was, really curious. Just so many different layers. There's ISIS there now as well, who are the main problem because they kill anyone.
Mm.
And then there's tribal things and family things. And so there's so many different layers to what's going on. And obviously it's been going on for thousands of years. Like, they're pretty used to war.
You just don't know how it will end.
No, and the place smells. They burn everything. It's literally what you would expect, like from the movies. You fly over and it's just valleys and then mountains, and there's no trees. They burn everything. Obviously, it gets really cold in winter, so they burn everything from their toilet stuff to anything. So the place.
Goodness me.
They say that if you spend 6 months in Kabul, you ingest the equivalent of a Mars bar of poop.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Dear me.
So
It's not a healthy environment at all.
PTSD
Oh,
there, isn't it?
I'm just wondering how any of them manage to come home. I imagine any armed forces have psychological help and
Oh, yeah, they're way more...
backup and
on top of
everything
that stuff
nowadays.
now. Yeah.
In
Certainly more
previous
so.
generations, they would just send them home. Off you go, mate.
Oh, yeah.
And they
yeah.
didn't talk
Second
about
World
it.
War, First World War, Second
Yeah.
World War. The Vietnam vets were a classic
Well,
for
they
that.
were
Yeah.
ostracised as much as anything,
Yeah.
which was incredibly cruel.
The Vietnam vets were always, the ones that I sort of first started reading about, and I also knew one who was one of the tunnel rats, and just the stuff he told me you just couldn't imagine, like not getting help for.
Fortunately, now people are aware of mental health issues and all the traumatic stress disorders. And, and
it's
they
a
get
very-
some help.
Yeah, they do. It's a really difficult... I mean, I've got a bit of expertise in it, but it's a very difficult thing. Like, I've just recently had a thought that people talk about the stigma about mental illness, and I'm not so convinced that that's the issue, because I think a lot of it essentially is your own perception of your mental illness.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily what other people think. Like when I finally disclosed mine to my friends, like my best friend, I rang him, he was in England, and I said, oh, look, I've been diagnosed as type 2 bipolar. And he just said, I could have told you that 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, so my friends were great. They were, a couple of people freaked out a bit and, you know, like literally recoiled from me. But mostly everyone was fine. So I think it's your own, a lot of it's not so much the stigma, it's your own stigma, your ego.
That's it.
Yeah, that's my belief. Like,
self-acceptance is so important in whatever situation you find yourself in, and whatever state you find yourself in, and then from that self-acceptance, other people will follow that.
I think so, and that's the reason why I've seen it so often just this year with friends, family members, people's refusal to heal. It's their own perception. It's not. It's what their own mind's telling them. It's not a worry. Well, which also can come across as what other people will think, but it's not what other people think. It's your own mind controlling those thought processes. So I think that's something that people need to look at more.
We tend to be hardwired almost from childhood, I think, with some perceptions of ourselves. And
for sure,
if you grow up in a family and you're constantly bullied or told you're no good, you've got to unlearn that behaviour as you get older.
Yeah.
You start to think it's real.
The cliches, the love yourself, the this, the that, the just let it go, all that, that means nothing until you actually understand it.
Yeah.
As I was to learn. Like, it's all well and good to say, oh, you got to love yourself. That means nothing.
No.
Until you actually understand it. And people, you know, say, oh, reading this book changed my life. It's like, well, that's fine, but you didn't have any problems if reading a book changed your life.
That's maybe a simplistic way of looking at it.
Yeah, that's... So I'm quite cynical about a lot of those things. I believe that if you want to heal and get help, you've got to go through a very comprehensive process.
Yeah.
You know, like I've had friends and they go to a counsellor and they come out bouncing off the walls, and I just say to them, well, it's not working then. You should come out feeling absolutely drained, and you don't go once, twice, 3 times. You go, if you've got problems, you go for
it's long
6
term,
months.
isn't it?
Oh, yeah. For sure.
These issues don't just go away.
Yeah, but everything's different for everyone. If you think homeopathy is going to fix you, drinking water, that's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I certainly know what I went through, and I started, eventually when I got there, it took a long time, but I sort of surrendered, and then started going through a process, and it was still, well, it's ongoing all the time, but it took 2 years. Of weekly visits with a really brilliant psychiatrist. So that's how it worked for me. Yeah. But everyone's different. But yeah, I'm fairly cynical about any quick fix.
There's no quick fix to anything.
No, of course there isn't.
I don't think there is any timeline to healing mentally, physically, emotionally. I think you just take whatever time you need.
You don't ever... People always say, I'm over it. You don't get over anything in life. You just learn how to cope and understand it.
And manage things.
Yep.
And find what works for you.
Yep.
So what do you do ongoing, Sean, to help with your stress or any issues you might have? Are you big on exercise to get the endorphins going? Do you find that helps?
Running's always been my thing.
Yeah.
So I usually only can fit in about one every week or so now, but like I've run on a couple of half marathons this year.
Yeah.
I did about 6 or 7 last year. I don't do it in races because I don't like crowds. I just run by myself.
Yeah.
But then usually, 10, 15, 20k sort of every couple of weeks.
Do you do any stretching or things
really.
Like softer things like Tai Chi?
No, Tai Chi.
Yoga or anything like that?
I always wondered about Tai Chi, like why you would do a martial art that teaches you how to defend yourself in slow motion.
That's right. It's an interesting concept, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't think there is any reason for it because I live near Centennial Park and I went and took out 3 of them recently and they didn't defend themselves at all.
No.
Didn't even see me coming. So...
It was too slow.
Yeah.
You just got in and out like a ninja.
And I'm not the world's greatest fighter, but I took care of them easily.
Yeah.
So, no, Tai Chi's not for me.
You could become a personal security officer if you needed the extra cash.
What else do? I do chin-ups. My son's a little gymnastic champion at the moment, and so he's into doing all sorts of strength stuff, which I'm not very good at anymore.
Yeah.
Ever since I've sort of stopped, I used to play football, and since then I don't have anything to prove. So I don't run up hills. I just run flat, which where I live is all flat.
Yeah, that's
I
nice.
do some chin-ups until I'm tired.
Do you do any sit-ups?
No.
Don't worry about that.
No, I'm good at sitting down.
Yeah.
I find that. Do that quite often.
That's like squatting, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd sit down
Just
several
sit down
times
and stand
a day.
up.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, no Russell Crowe. I don't need to tell the world exactly how many sit-ups and push-ups
No,
I've done,
I don't know.
you know.
For all of those sit-ups, it still doesn't look like he does any, really.
No, maybe he has a beer or a pie every time he sits up.
That's right, or a few smokes, who
Yeah,
knows?
Yeah.
And what about mind stuff, Sean? Do you find that you can zone out mentally and just relax? Do
I'm
you
pretty
do any
good.
techniques like that?
No. I used to try to meditate when I was like really sick 10 years ago now. And I was seeing the doctor at the time, so it was just a slow process. I tried meditating, but I just kept falling asleep.
Yeah. Well, that's better than nothing.
True.
Falling asleep's
which
all right.
I quite like sleeping.
Yeah, me too.
Now I'm just aware. I know if have bad days, like I've got a bit stressed just recently with maybe a certain visitor being around, and but I always know because that's when I shouldn't drink, but it's when I really want to. So
Yes.
I got quite drunk at my sister's 50th on the weekend, which is just a symptom of stress. I'm putting that
That's
down
it.
to.
But you still enjoyed yourself.
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if everyone around me did. But
Do you vomit if you drink too much?
If I have
Because
to.
I used to.
I'm
I
not-
used to vomit all the time.
No, I'm partial to a vomit.
Yeah.
I've always thought better an empty house than a bad tenant.
I used to vomit so badly, I'd have friends would have a few drinks before we went out, and they'd just leave me on the lounge with a bucket and a glass of water, and a box of tissues, and go out.
Yeah, less.
And I'd
less
passed out.
Less frequently now.
Yeah.
I went in my 20s. I think because it was self-medicating, so I was terrible in my 20s and 30s.
Yeah.
So impossibly drunk. But it's got better and better. I stopped drinking and drugs and cigarettes and everything for 2 years, like 10 years ago, while I was getting treatment.
Getting some help.
And then when I met my wife, I started drinking again. I still overdo it. That's the first time this year I've really overdone it.
Yeah.
And that was, purely stress.
Extenuating circumstances,
True.
perhaps.
True. Yes.
Allowed you to go down that road.
Yes.
But it's not going to be something you're going to be taking up all
no,
the
I
time.
didn't do anything silly or that like I
No.
used to when I was young.
No.
So.
Well, I think we've all learnt from that, haven't we?
My mum's still talking to me.
Oh, that's good.
And my sister, so it can't be too bad,
As long as you eat something, I think.
Well, that was the problem.
Have
I
some
didn't.
water. Oh, yes, that's it.
No, I drank a lot of beers very quickly.
Oh, well, that's right. Well, see, I do the other thing. I'll eat a whole packet of Tim Tams very quickly when I'm stressed.
Yeah, right.
And just eat and eat because I used to be enormous. So that's my stress relief.
See, I can't do that anymore. I'm one of those weird... I'm not militant about it, but I stopped having sugar a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Do you find that with mood swings? I believe sugar's extremely addictive.
Well, if you look at kids... You see, the first two things they're addicted to is sugar and then the hypnosis of screens.
Yeah.
And they're pretty bad for them. They turn them into savages.
Yeah.
So, I was just getting a bit fat. So I thought, I'm not giving up beer. And I still like food.
Yeah,
so I
of
just
course.
stopped sort of sugar, but not militant. I sort of
No.
run in a coffee.
Yes.
If there's, I try and I don't have desserts or soft drinks and stuff like that.
Well, that's a good start.
Yeah, and that was
Some
fine.
people are extremely strict, aren't they?
No, I'm not.
You go,
I'm not.
come on.
I'm not going to put a bandana on and start preaching to people or anything like
No.
that. No.
Well, look, we might celebrate you getting healthy and getting well with a wonderful song.
Great.
How about something exciting and uplifting we might put on for the listeners to celebrate Sean getting his stuff happening and getting himself together?
That sounds great. Well, I grew up a Kiss fan.
Oh, Kiss are all right.
It's in you. Once something's in your DNA,
It is.
Even if you realise what they are when you're older, you still can't help it. It's like with football, I'm still obsessed with it, even though I hardly watch it, and I realise the joke that it all is. But it's once you've done something so often all your life.
And also think when you're young and you've got all that sense of hope about life, and you're young and you're excited about life.
And I was clearly a troubled child, so Kiss were a perfect foil for me.
You wonder how they got all their makeup off every night. What sort of makeup wipes they would use, and
I don't know.
did they have a skincare regime?
They
Because
apply
that's a
their
lot
own
of makeup.
They
That's a
apply
lot of
their
makeup under lights. That would
and it doesn't run.
No, and it would clog your pores.
It would, which might have affected all of their brains.
Oh, you think it might? But anyway, Kiss are a legendary band, aren't they? Do you have a favourite Kiss song? We might put that on.
I reckon the good old I Was Made for Loving You.
I Was Made for Loving You.
Yeah. Like all their songs, it took them about 10 seconds to write, and it's highly repetitive.
It's almost hypnotic, isn't it?
It is. But they were onto something, and they worked it out.
They worked it out with their makeup and their repetitive rhythms.
Yep.
And all those platform shoes.
Yep. And
so
they got a lot of disaffected
everyone.
People like me to spend lots and lots of money on their stuff.
Have you seen them in tour lately?
Not lately.
Over the last several years, some of them have gotten... I think all of them got back together, didn't they?
They did, but they got rid of the two miscreant ones. But Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley... They'd do well in the psychopath test, both of those.
I'm sure they would.
But Paul Stanley's voice is shot.
Yes.
Yeah, now, but he hasn't worked that out.
Well, that's the thing. In those days, they probably didn't do a proper vocal warm-up.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
He just won to
something as well.
Well,
he's been screaming for a long time.
Oh, he's had a good run.
So...
It's like poor old Brian Johnson from AC/DC had to retire because he'd go deaf.
Yeah, well, they were still brilliant. I saw them a couple of times or maybe last time was 7-8 years ago, and they were still really tight, and their music was great, but obviously things went downhill fairly quickly.
That's it. Well, I think if you're a professional musician, what are you going to do as you get older? You may as well keep doing it.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
My father, actually, at the moment, he's 80, and he's always been a bit of a folky and a bush music sort of fan, and he was telling me on the weekend that he's quite upset because he just can't seem to sing as much anymore.
No.
And it was very sad for him because it's something he loves doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, where it's, for me, not singing is probably a good thing for everybody.
Me too, but we have put on Kiss, I Was Made for Loving You. That was Kiss with I Was Made for Loving You. And you're listening to Laughter and Enlightenment with Sharon Gambrill here at Radio Northern Beaches. And I'm with my special guest this week, comedian and writer, Sean Woodland. Welcome back, Sean.
Thank you, Sharon.
Now, I wanted to ask you, how did you get into stand-up comedy originally? Were you one of those funny kids that was the class clown growing up? Was that always your personality? Or is it something that sort of sneaked up on you?
I reckon I always loved humour, but I was probably more annoying than funny. And also I was a bit sad. But I found that I grew up watching Dave Allen and the Two Ronnies, and then, you know, sitting with Dad watching those every Friday night. So that's probably where I got my main introduction, and then I moved on to, you know, listening a little bit more. And I found that I read every single book of every comedian, and I even wrote a novel about a comedian like 10, 12 years ago.
You've written a novel?
Yeah, two, and I've got a third one on the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what happened was, when I was really sick, I sort of binge wrote two novels, and I sent them to publishers, and they were like interested, and then, you know, one got back to me and said, oh, look, you're really, really close, keep working, and the other one said, look, it's great, we just can't predict a market for it. And then I started doing stand-up, so I sort of didn't write, but I've just started writing again now, because it's just so hard writing something good.
Yeah.
And I do articles and that. But anyway, what happened was, when I got better, I just got an email off a friend, and at the bottom of it there was a banner that was a link to the Raw comedy, and it was like an epiphanic moment that had been 30 years coming.
Yeah.
Because I think, and so I registered straight away, and that was probably, when I look back, like my dog was named Dudley after Dudley Moore, and like I said, I'd read every book on every comedian. I emceed all my friends' weddings and did the speeches at my footy club things and family things. So it was probably the only thing I was really ever wanted or meant to do. Yeah. And it just took... But I needed to be well. Like, some people can be mental and still do comedy, whereas I couldn't. No, I had to get my life in order before I could...
I think that's a sensible way of looking at it too, because there's a lot of highs and lows.
Yeah,
and you can really suffer.
I was too, and I would have butchered it somehow with, you know, alcohol abuse, not turning up to gig or doing something.
That's it.
And then
once you get that reputation
or whatever. So it's just worked out really well now.
Oh, that's tremendous, Sean.
Yeah, it was my first gig, I remember. It was like I run a 5-minute set, and I've got a voice recording of it somewhere, and halfway through you can hear my voice sort of wavering and croaking, and I got through. And like, it wasn't great, but it wasn't bad either.
Was that at a pub open mic night, or was that Raw Comedy night?
That was at Raw at the Comedy Store, but it wasn't like the crowds they get now. There was not many people there at all.
Yeah.
And I did a story about pooping my pants when I was 5 at school and getting hit by a car on the same day. And
what a good day that was.
Yeah,
for
it was great.
Childhood memories.
Yeah. But it went well. Well, not well. Not great.
Went okay.
Went okay and enough. But I had no idea. I'd never really been in a comedy club before that.
No.
I'd only ever been to see famous comics in theatres.
That's it.
So that was my first time ever into a comedy club. And, and then someone else came up to me that night and said, "Oh, we've got an open mic night." And I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Go and do
so
the same
I went there
thing.
and then, and still very much learning now, which is what I love the most. Yeah, it's like I realise how much I've got to learn.
Yeah.
I'm pretty hard on myself, which I always have been.
Yeah.
And I think that's, well, it's not always a good thing, it mostly is a good thing.
When you were up there, Sean, were you finding that you were being yourself doing stand-up initially, or were you trying to be a character, or were you trying to be just an exaggerated personality of yourself? How did you approach that?
I think pretty much me.
Yeah.
I still haven't truly found my voice. Like, some people are lucky enough to know who they are straight away.
Yeah.
I certainly couldn't fit into that because I didn't really have a sense of self until I was 40 anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, now I'm getting closer and closer. I don't do too much stuff about any dark stuff. I just can't. Like, someone like Fiona O'Loughlin can make that stuff funny.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't know if I ever will be able to or what. But the one thing I'd never want from an audience is sympathy, so I'm always really sort of conscious of doing that.
That's right.
And it's a bit harder to joke about mental illness, or I find it, because you don't look mentally ill.
Yeah.
Whereas if you have something else, you can joke about maybe being female or being something, or if you're from a different nationality, you can joke about that. But if I start making jokes about being mental, people just think I'm being a prick.
I know someone said to me once a long time ago, you can work on your material, but equally as important, find out who you are up there.
Yeah.
Work out who you are up there and be totally comfortable with that, or you'll appear to be fake.
Yeah.
And an audience will tune in on that.
Yeah. You definitely can't lie to an audience. They can see through if you're not who you sort of really are. If you're not behaving as who they know you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how long ago was this, Sean, when you did your first open
So I'm
mic
48 and a half now, so it would have been 8.5 years.
Gee.
March the 1st.
So did you ever imagine 8.5 years ago you'd be doing an open mic night, having a go at it, and then some years later you'd be in Afghanistan doing stand-up?
I wouldn't have picked Afghanistan, but one thing I've had even when I was like really struggling all those years was, and I can see it in my little son now, is just determination.
Yeah.
I've been late to most parties. Like, I didn't get married till I was 43. I didn't become a good footballer until, well, it was questionable if I ever became a good footballer. But I didn't start doing well at that until I was 23 or 4, whereas, most of my mates were playing seniors at 17.
Yeah.
So I don't mind. I know it's sort of like the hare and the tortoise.
You're taking your time anyway.
Yeah, so
that's all right.
Someone said to me, when a couple of years after I started, they said, "Oh, you'll never make a living doing this," and I knew then that I would anyway.
No.
Either, which, but yeah, I've always been. But no, as far as those other things, and look, it's not for me. I for a couple of years I was like every other comic, and I was ambitious and sort of envious and whatever, and like. But the most important thing for me is I know how to live off stage.
Yes. You've got a good balance.
Yeah, and like if whatever lucky things come my way, fine. But I know I'm, probably not ever going to be like Will or Dave Hughes or anything.
Well, you never know, do you?
No, but it's fine. I know how to live. I've got a really good life.
Yeah.
So.
Do you think getting married and having a family later in life was a good idea because you kind of worked your stuff out?
It's the only way it could have been.
Yeah, for you anyway.
I couldn't have a relationship.
No.
So there was no choice for me. If I didn't sort myself out, I either wouldn't be here, but I certainly wouldn't have had a relationship.
No, that's it.
No. So that was...
And I imagine now you really cherish those little ones.
Oh, yeah.
Even though you're exhausted probably at certain times.
And my wife. Like,
and the
wife,
wife,
I don't think, without her, I'm sure I'd still be single.
Yeah.
She's just perfect for me and really amazing mum and, quite patient too.
Good on her. Good on her. So, Sean, what have you got coming up for the rest of the year? In terms of comedy-wise, it does get busy.
I'm doing all the Comedy Store gigs this week, which is always fun.
Yeah, that's the Sydney Comedy Store for anyone who's listening around the world.
And then next week I'm off on a Sydney Comedy Festival roadshow out west to Warren, Dubbo and Penrith, and they're always really good fun because you get to go with other comics, which is great, travelling with other comics.
Yeah.
And then, just...
And that's because you had a Sydney festival show?
Yeah.
Sydney Comedy Festival show. What was the name of that show?
Oh, it was called The White Dog.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a play on words about the black dog because the white dog kind of saved my life. My dog, Dudley, that he died last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very sad.
It was, but he was really good for me when it was just me for a long time.
Did you have Dudley for a long time?
I had him from 2006 until last year, so 11 and a half years. So
that's a long
he was
time.
kind of with me when I was at my sickest, and it was just me and him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he'd sleep
Good
with me every
companion.
night. Yeah.
Well, we're talking about post-traumatic stress disorder. There's an organisation in Australia called Assistance Dogs, and they provide dogs that are therapy dogs and assistance dogs for a lot of returned veterans.
Yeah.
And they find that just having a companion and being able to stroke the fur, I think that's oxytocin that gets released as a chemical from the brain. Human touch. We don't do enough. You're just holding hands and touching someone on the shoulder, a hug. I mean, obviously in appropriate circumstances nowadays you have to be aware of that, but having a pet is that unconditional love and
it's
touch
perfect.
and the soft fur. And I think it's a wonderful organisation and also a wonderful thing to know that having a pet can just change your life.
Yeah, I read something years ago where it said, people that are depressed or suffering don't have that human contact. Like sometimes they might go weeks apart from getting change from a shop or something.
That's it.
I'd recommend to anyone who's sad, lonely, having a dog.
You become very isolated in life, don't you? In a modern society, it can become very isolating.
Yep.
So
it's a great cure for certainly loneliness or being alone.
So was this show, your comedy festival show, was this your first solo show?
No, I think I've done about 4 now.
Oh, you've done a few?
Yeah.
You're not
They're nothing great, like no one knows who I am, so it's a real struggle. But for this one, again, I think having just accepted things and just said I want to do this and enjoy it.
Yeah.
And it's the first one I've really enjoyed.
Yeah.
There's 6 people in the first night.
Yeah.
2 of whom I knew. So that was... But it was, it's fine. You got to still perform, and then it got bigger each night, and it was, just dedicated to my dog and my love for him, really, and
Oh, that sounds like that sounds actually quite sweet.
Yeah, it was great, and we had a wake. I don't know if anyone's ever had a wake for their dog.
I think a lot of people have done that for a dog or a cat or a pet.
Right. Well, I had because he touched a lot of people over the years, so there was heaps of people came around. There was about 40 of us, and obviously I got myself into a state. But I'd made a movie. That went for 40 minutes, and in the end everyone was crying, but I'm not sure whether it was because they wanted it to end or whether it was a good movie.
Maybe a combination of both. Maybe they were just emotionally exhausted.
Yeah. One of the songs that I had on that was Skinny Love, which was originally from Bon Iver, but Birdie sings it.
Skinny Love by Birdie.
Love it.
Should we dedicate that to your
Dudley?
Special mate, Dudley?
He'd love that,
who may on some level have helped save your life.
Yes. Oh, he definitely did. Yeah.
All right, this is going out for you, Dudley, wherever you are. A little angel pet.
He's in a box on my drawer at home.
Is he?
Yeah. At least he doesn't shit in the house
anymore.
No.
Well, you don't have to take him out walking.
No.
But he's always there in your heart.
He is.
So this
and on my arm.
So you got a tattoo, Dudley. That's a beautiful tattoo of Dudley.
Yeah, I got that years ago when I realised how much I loved him.
What a wonderful tribute. Yeah. No, I think it's plausible that you can form a very close connection to a pet.
Yeah.
It's almost like a soul connection. It's something that can't quite be explained. It's a very deep respect and loving feeling, isn't it?
When you're starting with something that breathes as well. You know,
Yeah.
there's other options that aren't quite as healthy, I'm sure.
That's right.
But starting with, I remember the counsellor I saw way back before I got Dudley, he said, well, that's good. Starting with something that breathes on the way to hopefully one day having a partner.
A human person that's the similar relationship. That's a good goal.
Yeah.
So that's Skinny Love.
By Birdie.
By Birdie. What would you like to do with your career? Just keep it on an even keel, lots of gigs, festival shows, maybe some travel overseas?
I'm writing a new novel now, or an updated sort of version, a combination of the couple I wrote before. So, and I find writing really, really difficult, and so that's why I love doing that.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to write. I've written a lot of articles and various things that have been published sort of over the last few years, but actually I'm more of a storyteller than a journalist or anything like that. So I really want to get a book out, or just finish it for myself. And if someone wants to publish it, that's great.
Yeah.
It's a very difficult thing to do, writing, because you can write, hundreds of thousands of words and you're the only one who ever reads them. So, and it is just really difficult to string a sentence together and get across what you want to do. It's an absolute gift, and the people that do it brilliantly just amaze me. Like anything you can't do yourself, you look at other people and go, wow, that's, like I can watch someone play the guitar and go,
and you
wow,
can admire that
that's
talent.
Incredible. And so I definitely want to do that. As far as comedy goes, I've just got a lot to learn still, so I'll just keep doing it. I'll go wherever it takes me. I don't like going away for too long anymore. For Afghanistan, that was great, but
But also with a young family
I'm
now.
with the rare breed that I actually like my family.
Yeah.
And my wife and I like each other too. In fact, we love each other.
That's lovely.
So I love being at home.
Yeah.
A couple of nights here and there is great.
Yeah.
But I don't sort of plan.
Well, you've got a good balance.
I'll go to Melbourne maybe one time, but no one's going to come and see me.
You never know.
Tick a box sort of thing, but no, I'm quite happy doing what I do and just trying to improve still, which I do. I still do, a few open mics with my mate Luke Heggie, and we, always writing jokes together, and that keeps me going fine.
That's it. And you take care of your health, your physical health and your mental health now.
Yep.
As a priority.
Medication and beer.
That's it.
That's a perfect
That's a
combination
good combo
for me. Yep.
And when you're writing, Sean, do you have a way of writing? Do you do a mind mapping thing, or do you just sit down, or do you have a notepad, or do you dictate into a phone?
Everything. I've got everything. I've been doing this for about, because I was writing well before I did comedy, and I just used to wake up and have a notepad back in those days.
Yeah.
I've got my phone. If it's writing jokes, a lot of the time I can't force myself. I might have a concept, but I pretty much have to wait for my real good jokes are more or less true.
Yes.
So I wait for those. As far as writing my novel, at the moment, I can be sitting at the dinner table with the kids and trying to write a sentence. It's like I'm just trying to get it out, and then I can go back and make it sing, so to speak. Yeah, but at the moment, I still also have a day job that I do too sometimes, so for a few days a week.
Yeah.
So I'm sort of, but it's amazing. I can still sort of get it all done. It's weird.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, it's amazing. Do you sleep well? Do you find that helps?
Better nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't go to sleep before 11, though.
No.
No, but I don't have any choice anymore. I get up more or less when the kids do, which I'd much rather stay in bed, but I'm glad that I have to get up.
Well, I think sometimes with mental health, having a reason to get up is very important, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's where the dog was good as well. When I just wanted to sleep for 20 hours a day, the dog would demand I took him for a walk.
And go out and get some fresh air and walk around a bit.
Yep.
What do you like to do with the children, Sean? You and your wife, do they go to the beach or the park?
We love going to the beach. We love going to the park. I've taken the kids fishing. They both caught their first fish earlier this year, so we're going on a holiday soon.
Yeah.
And, we as a family, we do a lot together, the four of us, You
enjoy that family time.
We do. We're, and like sometimes we do separate things, but Monday to Wednesday my wife works, Lou, she works, so I've got to do all this kid stuff, and it's fine.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, but we four of us love hanging out together. It's really good. I like it.
So you've got many years of happy family life coming up, I reckon.
Well, you'd hope so.
Good for you.
Yeah, they've had the good first 7 years is the most important apparently,
Yeah.
from everything I've read and understood.
Yeah.
And the way Lou and I've sort of thought that if you know, any of our kids ever end up no good, we'd be entitled to getting our money back. They should be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've put in the effort.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're happy kids, which is great.
That's tremendous.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
and you'll be able
beautiful.
to get them through school and
Yeah.
plant some healthy ideas that they can go forward as adults and have a productive life, as you are having
Yeah, well,
right
it's just
now.
the example you set. You
Yeah.
don't tell them anything. No one listens to being told.
No.
It's all absorbed by example. Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't listen.
And do you play music with the kids at home? Do they like dancing and singing
Yeah.
and all that?
Yeah, we do. They like all the same stuff that I like, surprisingly. Yeah, they know all their Bruce Springsteen and the Pogues and Cold Chisel stuff. They
Oh,
love.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we might put a Cold Chisel song on now.
Yeah, that'd be good.
That'd be a good one, wouldn't
Yeah,
it? One of our
I,
favourite bands.
Yeah. They're a good bunch of musos, those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you reckon, Sean? Have you got a favourite Cold Chisel or a couple of
Don't
favourite?
have a favourite, but Flame Trees has always moved me.
It is
quite
a beautiful,
nicely.
beautifully written
Yeah,
song, isn't it?
it is.
Flame Trees.
Yeah, Ian Moss he's special. They're all special in their own right, those band members. That's how they just complement each other amazingly.
It is, isn't
They've
it?
all had fair lives too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And they've been around for me since I was 13, I guess. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're iconic.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
always wonder about Jimmy Barnes's voice. Does he do a good vocal warm-up to achieve
now
that
he
voice?
does.
Yeah.
I think he's
He'd
looks
be
after himself a little
60
bit
or
better.
so.
Yeah, he's into his 60s.
But
yeah.
his voice is quite unique, isn't it?
It is.
To be
Yeah.
able to reach those sort of
Yep.
gravelly notes is a remarkable thing. As you say, when you're young, you can just belt it out, and as you get older, it's time to look after yourself.
Yeah, well, the lack of vodka probably has helped it.
Yeah, I'd say
the last
so.
few years, I'd
Yeah.
imagine. Yeah.
And good on you, Chisel. We're going to play Flame Trees by Cold Chisel. And that was Flame Trees by Cold Chisel. And we're just about to wind up our interview today with my special guest, comedian and writer, Sean Woodland. And Sean, I'd like to say thank you very much for being on the show.
It was my pleasure, Sharon.
And
Thank you.
I find it quite remarkable that you've been on a plane to Afghanistan and back, and that you've put yourself, well, you haven't really, I'm sure they take very good care of you, but you were in maybe a smidgen of risk over there.
Oh, I suppose, but yeah, I never felt that way.
No, but I think it's a wonderful thing to do to support the men and women over there who are, as you say, deployed for 6 months or so at a time.
Yeah.
They would miss their families.
Yeah, it's the least I could do. I don't sort of, do a hell of a lot of good for society, really. I'm
That's
quite
one thing.
selfish, so
Yeah, that's
I
one
look
good
after
thing.
my family first and foremost, and
Yeah.
I do some stuff when I can for a couple of mental health charities, but other than that, I'm not out sort of promoting what a good person I am all the time.
Did you get to chat to many of the troops while you were there?
Yeah.
Because where do you stay overnight? Do you stay
Just in dorms like
where
they
they
are.
are?
Yep. They were passionate, but also knowledgeable, which is a really nice combination.
Yeah. So you got to hang out and have a chat with them.
Oh
and
yeah,
find
and they
out.
were all open. Whether it was the entry level sort of corporals and privates and sergeants, right through to the colonels.
Yeah.
And we don't have to call them sir; you just call them all mate. So,
Oh, gee.
Yeah.
And is this Army?
All of them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's not Air Force or Navy.
It's all three. We
Yeah.
perform for all three.
All three, yeah.
And then there was in Kabul. There's 53 countries there, so they were all welcome.
Goodness me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is this like a peacekeeping force?
Yeah.
would you
It's
call it?
the coalition. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
the
made up
coalition.
of. Yeah. I did a joke about how my dog died on Anzac Day, and I said, which was quite fitting because he was a digger. And then I said, and he did kill a turkey one day. And of course the diggers love that joke. They just went berserk. Apparently the
great.
Turkish soldiers weren't quite as impressed with it.
No.
No, I was asked not to do it the next night, which I took as a great compliment.
Yeah, that's
I was like,
right.
what, too soon? That's 100 years.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah. But the diggers, it was for them. They're the ones that take us there. I'm only performing for them.
Yeah, yeah.
And no, they said, look, the Turkish soldiers were laughing, but they just thought best if I didn't
All
do
right,
it the
so
next
when
night.
you were doing your shows over there in Afghanistan...
Everyone was welcome.
So anyone was welcome from any country?
Yeah, like there was heaps of Brits and Americans, and because I've got jokes about Brits and Americans, like I'm married to a Brit, and I spent a lot of time with and in America. So, yeah, they were, but they're all fine. But that Turkish one, they said, "Oh, might be best if you leave that one out tomorrow night." I took that as a compliment.
That is a compliment, because it's well written then.
Yeah, well, it's true too.
And thanks very much for being on the show, Sean.
Thank you for having me,
and
Sharon.
for all your
Good
interesting conversation about mental health, about being a comedian, about family life and keeping healthy and well.
Yeah, I try.
And we wish you every healthy and well and happiness and everything going forward with your life and with your career.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that, Sharon. Thank you for having me. I love what you do.
You're very welcome, Sean.
Great.
Let's give him a round of applause. Good on you, Sean.
Yay, me.
Laughter and Enlightenment will be back next Thursday, 6 to 7 p.m. here at Radio Northern Beaches at 88.7 or 90.3 FM, or you can live stream through the website at rnb.org.au or through the app TuneIn Radio. And until next Thursday, have a happy, healthy and laughing week.